Jace here from Team Dark Strategies, headed into a product review slash sponsor review. Recently we have our new sponsor, Gamemat.EU. Gamemat.EU has been around for quite a while now, and I think they've proven themselves in the gaming industry as far as their products and the quality of their products. So if you're familiar with them already and use their products, great. If you're not, check out this video, and we're going to go over what they do. We have some product, a little, kind of a mini unboxing to do. I'm going to go over, the game mats, and then we're going to pop up their website and basically check out what they offer. So yeah, so let's get to it. Essentially, super excited to have a sponsorship by Gamemat.EU. It's always fun to have that added on the channel. You've been probably seeing their logo in the beginning of our videos now recently. So that is cool. And let's get to the unboxing. I'm excited to open one of these up. So, got this in the mail. Brand new mat, ready for action. Probably feature it in an upcoming battle report. But essentially, if you buy mats, now we buy 6x4 mats, just because my table is 6x4, and then I kind of shrink them down. I don't cut them or anything. I just shrink them down with a black frame that we use for our battle reports, just to bring it down to the the sizing for the strike force missions and incursion missions and so on and so forth. But they do offer different sizes as well. But since I have a 6x4 table all framed in, I like still having the 6x4 mats. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So it comes in a box similar to this, kind of long and narrow, right? Let's pop it open. It actually came pretty quick. I don't know. Maybe some people are intimidated to order, from overseas. Gamemat.EU is not in the U.S., but to ship out of there, it was super quick. Super PayPal. Use PayPal and then order what you need to do. It converts it all over, and then you're good to go. So if you're in the U.S. or in the States and are intimidated by ordering from Gamemat.EU, I would say don't be. It's actually a very smooth process, and you get your shipment pretty fast. So we pop this open. The mats come in nice, kind of vinyl, almost like a backpack material carrying case. Great for storage. Slide them on your table, or you can even stand them up. And then if you are playing at like a local game store, pop it in here and you can carry it. It's not going to get wet or dirty. Throw it in the back of your car and it's good to go. So 2 handles, zipper, and it's kind of like a vinyl backpack material. So let's pop this open here and see what we have. I'm just going to slide this out. What else we got? The safety requirements. But this is the mat we picked up. Now I think if you've been watching battle reports from a lot of the other YouTubers that are sponsored by Gamemat.EU, or even if they're not and they're just using Gamemat.EU stuff, you've probably seen this one. This kind of the urban blasted scene with it's got pipelines and rubble, and I'll lay this all out and take a picture for the video. But that's how essentially it comes rolled up in the package, like a big sushi roll. This particular one is just a one-sided one, and on the other side, again, if you're familiar with these game mats, it's essentially a mouse pad material, which is really nice, actually genius when it comes to gaming, because there's a lot of positives to it. It lays flat. It doesn't, you don't have to iron it or anything like that. It very rarely gets any wrinkles in it, as long as you take care of it and roll it back up for storage. But this mat on the rubber side, it sticks to, doesn't stick, but it grips to any surface that if you're on the kitchen table or the carpet or the wood floor, it'll kind of stick to it, not slide around. And then the printed side actually picks up the quality of the artwork that Gamemat.EU designs onto these very nicely. And it's smooth. It's waterproof. You can wipe up water pretty easily. I wouldn't suggest dumping water or soda on it, but you could clean it up really good. It's quiet when rolling dice, which is a big boon, especially when shooting battle reports. You don't have that clanky clunk of the dice rolling on wood or plastic. So that's a benefit to this product. And as well, your models kind of slide across them, and if they would fall over, it's a kind of it's not padded, but it is a softer surface, so you're not breaking or chipping your models as well. And terrain, since it lays flat, all the terrain that you're gonna ever use will sit on it very nicely. So that is, in a nutshell, pretty much all the positives of these game mats. And if you start collecting them, maybe you buy one a year or two a year or more a year, and you start collecting different environments, themed settings that you're going to build your tables on. Most terrain, I think, kind of fits throughout. You can kind of blend it in, and we'll talk a little bit about blending your terrain into some of these game mats as well. So yeah, I'm excited to lay this one out. We have this one here in front of me here. This is one we have been using. This is actually a two-sided. Gamemat.EU does offer two-sided mats, so it's basically 2-in-1, which I absolutely like. If you've been watching our battle reports lately, I switch out the battlefield usually every game. There's sometimes when I like a battlefield a lot, I'll keep it around for a couple games, but I like to switch out the themes just to keep it fresh. I like to theme them to the armies that we're playing on. If it makes sense to have demons on a demon world, that would be cool. Necrons on a kind of Necron urban. We got the grass with the kind of Eldar runes. It all works. And having options to switch out themes is very easy. It's like flicking a switch. You just flip it over and start new with, put your terrain around it, and then you have a new look and new feel, which I think livens up your game, especially if you're playing a lot. It'll freshen up a bit more. So that is the mini unboxing. These products come, again, quite quick, easy to open, easy to store, easy to game with. So I'm gonna flip the camera here, and I'm gonna show you Gamemat.EU's website, and we're just gonna have a little quick look through their options, the products that they offer, and then I'll kind of talk through it, and that'll essentially be the video. I do want to show you some of these pics of the boards that we currently have, and then how to kind of blend some things in as well. So it'll be kind of a 3-part video, this being one of them. So let's get to the website. Gamemat.EU, just Google it in, and it'll open up their site. It'll ask you to choose your region, wherever you're located. We'll take the USA. But this will bring it to the main landing page, Gamemat.EU, up in the left-hand corner. If you know where you are at, that's where you need to be. And then if you're on a PC, it might be a little different. I'm currently on an iPad right now, so. But essentially, it should be similar. They have a whole bunch of products. So let's look at their main landing page here. So they talk about import duties and taxes included. This is kind of their news. They actually just released some of their new mats recently, and then they have their own stores. So that is that, but let's get to some of their products. So if you click over in the 3 and triple on the left side here, the categories, battle mats, you can see all the different sizes that they offer: 44 by 30, 44 by 60 battle mats, double-sided battle mats, 6 by 4, 6 by 3, 4 by 4, 3 by 3. They got it all essentially. So let's, since I mainly deal in the 6 by 4 for our tables, for our battle reports, this particular one, we're just going to click for this review, 6 by 4s. So right up on the very beginning here, the Lost World, that's actually the one we have. We also just received what we unboxed here, the Fallout Zone. So it's got craters, kind of industrial, kind of war zone look to it. Another cool thing that they have to offer is the objective markers. Now the objective markers are kind of sized to what you need, but it's that same kind of mousepad material. The circles, either the fantasy ones, lava boards, dirt boards, street boards, urban boards, the Necron board there. They got a kind of chaos, demon, kind of tribal world, and then there's actually 2 pages of it here. So you can kind of see all the different patterns, and I really like how Gamemat.EU designs their patterning. It feels immersive while still being generic to what you need to play with, whether you're playing any particular sci-fi game. It'll work, and the scales usually work too. Just the plain desert, the more natural environments like the desert board, the snow boards, the grass boards, Those are scaleless, really. If you're playing, World War II reenactment tabletop games, be perfect for that. 40K, absolutely. Fantasy, absolutely. Age of Sigmar, anything works, I think, on these particular boards. And then they have some more kind of crazier designs where, the Death World Forge, where it's actually printed, areas on the battle mat. So those are a little more themed to what you're playing with, obviously. But if you're into that thing, it works. And then you can see the prices, of course. These are 6x4 prices. But also, they do have an offering, a product line of terrain. Now, they do pre-painted resin terrain. So if you're not into painting terrain or don't have the time to do it, they do the pre-painted stuff. They also do MDF colored terrain, which we'll look at shortly. And then they actually do a line of Mousepad terrains. And then I think more and more companies these days are doing the 3D printable models, the STL files, if you're into 3D printing, which is cool too. So let's start with the pre-painted resin stuff. They have, again, a pretty big line of generic enough in the sci-fi range, but they also have, fantasy range as well. If you're playing RPGs or D&D, it could work as well. But everything comes pre-painted. Of course, you can paint, embellish on if you're coloring it to your particular army. Bad Moon's yellow, you could do some Bad Moon's yellow on top of it too. But pre-painted is pretty awesome. The prices aren't too bad for actually a whole board's worth of terrain. And then they kind of offer a starter, a middle, and then like probably a whole 6x4 setup that you can do. But you can see here the fantasy little huts, village, all that. So they got 2 pages of that as well. If you're into that, you can check that out. So, and then Mousepad Terrain is interesting. I'm really happy that they're getting into this. Again, they have the objective markers for 9th edition and all that to get in there, which we actually own some for our channel. But they also, out of the same Mousepad materials, they do more, it's basically flat, but if you're going more for an up, top down, if you're playing War Machine, or even 40K if you wanted footprints of buildings and then you build up off of that, it works. Little ponds, little forest areas, those type of footprint things are easy to lay out. Again, if you don't have a lot of storage in your living area for a lot of terrain, these flat options are good, and you can see the prices are pretty low for that kind of stuff. So that's cool. And then they, of course, have the MDF color terrain. MDF, probably a little bit more, in my mind, a little more tournament easy to use, just because there's a lot of flat areas. There's not a lot of that kind of wonky model syndrome on this MDF stuff. And you can paint it too. So these are kind of pre-colored, but you could also paint on the top of these MDF things too. So, and the prices, again, are a little lower than the pre-painted resin pieces, and you get a lot to play with. So that is good as well. And then the the STL files are available on there too, so you can check those out if you want as well. They offer folding gaming tables, 6x4 and 44x60. Again, if you don't have a dedicated gaming space and you're not going to play on your kitchen table, but you do want to get it up off the floor, these actually are quite nice because they do fold up. You can store them away in a closet or under a bed, and then if it's game night, you're ready to go on these particular game tables here, so you can kind of see, and then you lay the mat out and it fits perfectly. And the prices, again, are not too bad for if you're looking for a solution for a gaming table, this is a pretty good price for it. So that is another great option from them. And then they have their own tabletop games and paints. It's basically their own store, so they sell Games Workshop products and paints and all that kind of stuff there too. So and then they actually have a used area if you're looking into if they picked up trade-ins or some of their own stuff for used. They usually sell it back out at a reduced price. So that is essentially Gamemat.EU. A pretty cool company. Again, check them out if you're looking for product lines to help you find solutions for your gaming. Like I said before, we use it on our battle reports, and we got more to use. With this new mat, we're going to feature that in an upcoming battle report. So that is that. The last part of the video, I just want to show you some of the images of the mats we have, and then I'll show you a little bit about how blending, if you're setting up a battlefield, how to kind of blend it all together. So that will be cool. So stay tuned. So I put the new Gamemat.EU sponsored board down that we just opened up on unboxing here, and it's not fully designed here. This is just an example about how to blend stuff in. But for now, we're just using the Games Workshop product line that I've been using a lot in a lot of the battle reports, the Mechanicum set, the older Mechanicum set. But essentially, this game mat here, you can see all the awesome detail designed into it. The textures, the craters, even some of the more man-made architectural type things. But then faded, it's like layers of detail, old roads and all that kind of stuff. So it really, when you're actually shooting a battle report, it actually looks like it is sculpted. From a distance, it has all the texture that a sculpted board would have. And I use sculpted boards too. I have sculpted some in the past where it's actual sand textures. But again, these mats are so easy to lay out and put on the table. So this, again, is a 6x4 table in the gaming studio here. So I've used this for many, many, many years. So I still buy the 6x4s. And the cool thing is, the more that you collect, you're basically, it's almost like a book. You're layering up this framed in thing. You're layering up your options here. So, this was the one we just got. We got the other Gamemat.EU here. This is actually a two-sided one, kind of with the Necron Industrial, and then the grass. And then the more you have, I actually have one layer of, it's one mat actually flipped over with the black rubber side. And I'll use this, if I'm playing smaller battles, I'll use this as kind of the cover page. In this black area, you put your stratagems down here, or roll your dice on here as kind of a sideboard. It works really well. Even if you play like card games, collectible card games, Magic the Gathering, you can use this as a great card base, sit opposite of the table and have a game. So the more you collect, just layer them up on your table. If you do have a dedicated gaming table, and you're good to go. So these things are absolutely awesome. Or like I said before, you just roll them up and store them. I have a bunch actually stored behind that cabinet over there. So that is that. But I did want to talk about a little bit about how to blend. If you're gaming, if you have, say you have one collection of terrain, and it's just one theme. I still think it'll work throughout any of these themed Gamemat.EU battle mats you pick. You can use your existing terrain or pick up some Gamemat.EU's terrain, pre-painted again, so as soon as it arrives at your door, it's ready for gaming, right? But to blend it in, a lot of gamers use kind of just neutral kind of filler. I call it scatter terrain. It's essentially terrain that's not really, doesn't have rules involved in the actual game. If you're playing Warhammer 40K, yeah, you could use barrels as cover and all that kind of stuff. But these, to me, it's kind of just beauty detail, right? You're accessorizing, just a flat building on top of here. Yeah, it still works, but as soon as you come over here and start, putting some barrels, putting some lamp posts, if you have some boxes, ammo crates, from any set really, old statues, even just rocks and rubble, you put that around your bases, the footprints of your pieces, and it blends the board from a 2D thing to a 3D thing to a really big 3D thing. So I think it works, especially on camera. It looks really beautiful. Now I think Striking Scorpion, if you're familiar with his YouTube channel, he actually, I think, was the forebearer of putting actually just you go in the garden and find some slate, or you go to a pet store and get some of that clean gravel. You can sprinkle that around the edges, put some moss. A lot of YouTubers do that, and that actually, again, it's scattered terrain. It's not affecting the actual battle, but it's giving it a more of a real look. So kind of a quick and easy tutorial there, just to go over. If you have a bunch of these, I think it still works, and have fun with it. So that is the review of Gamemat.EU. There'll be plenty more of their mats on our tables in future battle reports, so keep an eye out. I'll try and give a shout out every time we use one. And let's get to the next battle report. So thank you for watching. Check out Gamemat.EU.